Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Nova Scotia has legislated climate goals, including reducing emissions by 53% by 2030. We have a provincial program created by this government to incentivize industrial polluters to reduce emissions and meet those climate goals. But as recently as yesterday, the Minister of Environment said that this system is working for large industrial polluters, and then the Premier wouldn't say if he thought that the output-based pricing system should continue. We know that the environment is a major concern for Nova Scotians, so I'd like to ask the Premier, will he clearly state if he believes that industrial polluters should have to pay?
I recognize the Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm proud of the leadership that this province has shown on legislating environmental goals. The work of the minister is second to none across the country, and we support the goals. We all know we have an obligation to protect our planet for future generations, and we will certainly do our part in government, as we have with legislation, in fact.
I recognize the Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I hope sometime in the future we'll get an answer from the Premier about whether he supports his own output-based pricing program. The issue of pollution from industrial projects in our province is clear, and it's been Nova Scotians who have been left footing the bill for generations. In 2019, the Auditor General found that the province recorded a staggering $370 million liability for contaminated sites, and those are only the ones on the books. Now this government is pushing forward their plans to allow fracking in our province. What does the Premier have to say to Nova Scotians who are worried about the impact of fracking on their properties and drinking water and the costs that this could create for our province?
I recognize the Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have a great process for reviewing industrial approvals and making sure that things are done safely. It's a great process. It works. There's no need to scare Nova Scotians and make believe that there's no process. There is a process, but we are going to have the discussion in this province. We have removed the bans, and it is time to have adult discussions about what is possible so we can grow the economy and afford to deliver the services that Nova Scotians have a right to expect. We feel that obligation. We will take the no out of Nova Scotia, Madam Speaker.
I recognize the Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have and we recognize the environmental assessment process, but when the Premier was asked yesterday if discussions would happen outside of that, in fact, his answer was not clear. When he says discussions, what he means is we're going to plow ahead with the projects that companies may or may not want to pursue here, and they will do the bare minimum through the processes that we have to engage with Nova Scotians. So I want to ask the Premier again, when he says we're lifting the bans to start a conversation, what does that conversation look like? How is he engaging, and how are Nova Scotians going to have a part in the conversation about the future of our natural resource strategy?
I recognize the Honourable Premier.
There is a well-established process. It works just fine. Previous governments, the NDP had decided to take uranium out of that process. We're putting it back in that process. The Liberal government had decided to take natural gas out of that process. We're putting it back in. Madam Speaker, we're not okay with being dependent on the United States for our energy sources. We're not okay with looking the other way from opportunities to lift up Nova Scotia. We will move ahead, and the opposition can join us in supporting Nova Scotians should they choose, or they can continue to scare Nova Scotians. I wish they get on board behind Nova Scotians. That's where Nova Scotians are.